I have a quick question for Urvashi ji. Urvashi ji, Teeshtha Bhawsar ji का सवाल है. She says, in a world where we have advanced technologies like smartphones and digital platforms, how can we effectively spread awareness about sustainability and climate change amongst illiterate and differently abled communities, especially through inclusive storytelling methods that they can understand?
Yeah, I mean, I think the content, no matter which channel we are putting it out through, it has to be contextualized. It has to be targeted at that particular audience. So whether it's in terms of language, whether it's in terms of using imagery, or even voice. So I think there's a lot of creative content that is available also, and there are many creators who can create such content, but we need to be sensitive of the fact that we have so much diversity, so whether it's people with disabilities, whether it's even women. We have still so much gender disparity in access to digital tools and platforms. So whether it is gender, whether it is marginalized communities, whether it is people with disabilities, for everybody, even senior citizens, right? They would also possibly have different kinds of requirements, in terms of content. So I think it's not that we don't have the ability, but we should have the will to create, and we should be sensitive to the needs of different groups across the country, because obviously we are about as heterogeneous a country as is possible. So I think that's something that we need to do across the board, not just in this particular type of communication, but any type of communication, really.
In fact, Rajiv ji, can I add on to this what Urvashi ji just said, and I completely agree with her. Uh, in countries like ours, when we're talking about the global south or LMIC countries and or countries like as vivid and as India, localized and culturally relevant stories is something very, very important. If you would want to add, a lot of this, uh, today, if you look at even at the smaller villages, they look at the community health workers or their peer educators as trust factors. When we look at public health or when we look at public health communication, that's something which is very, very strong in terms of which resonates in the community. So the local storytellers from these community health areas or workers or peer educators, that is something which is more relatable, entertaining, and informative. And now, thanks to social media and thanks to the reach that everyone actually has, even disabled communities is something that they can actually use audio visual content over text, the voice based story methodologies that are being used, possibly for someone who can't speak. Maybe it is illustrations or animations that can be added to it. Your short platforms like Facebook and WhatsApps and technically TikToks and others, these are something that can actually talk a lot when people do not have the luxury of really going down a literature yardstick. So leveraging all this is then, and the greatest thing that we can actually now have is community radio, which is now reaching everywhere. FMs were only 3 to 4 channels. Today every state has an FM channel, every state capital has an FM channel, to the extent that even higher communities in hilly areas have their own radio and podcast channels which are available. It can be only sustained when there is public as well as political will to really take it over.